Alright, and welcome. This is Nick Marine presenting Let's Learn Japanese, a course series for the self-study Japanese from basics and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. And with that, as usual, it's a Let's Read Japanese. So, again, up above is the audio. Off to the side is going to be the text of what I'm reading to the audio. And if there's something I don't know, I pause the audio, look up the meaning of the word with the pop-up dictionary with Yomi-chan in this case, and yeah, just go with that. Alright, it's a fun way to read. Yeah, right now I'm reading, I know it's, if you're just catching this for the very first time, yeah, okay, it seems weird that like I'm doing a let's read of an anime. So what I did is, again, strip the subtitles out, put it into a text file, and read along with that. So it is kind of like reading a manga, if you think about it. Very little, if there's internal dialogue, normally it's something you'd hear on the anime. I haven't tried, like, after doing something like a let's read, I did a let's read of Death Note. I haven't tried like going then to reading the manga afterwards. I guess I could, but then again, I don't feel like I have the desire to do that either. It's like I've already enjoyed this. Let me go on to something new. But again, there's nothing wrong with reading something multiple times. In fact, that's encouraged. But if you find that's not something interesting, then read something new. There's nothing wrong with that either. And I have done multiple read-throughs of stuff before, and sometimes I find it enjoyable, especially at the beginning, because it's like when you realize, like, oh wow, I'm getting much more out of this on reread than I am on what I was feeling like. Just the amount of level of comprehension was so much higher and enjoyable. Just that part seemed enjoyable. It's kind of like the first time like the experience I had when I first was studying a drama, and I was doing it line by line. So what's using a program Subsessor, and I was amazed, like when I rewatched a drama, I didn't even need subtitles. Like, and when I say subtitles, I always talk about Japanese subtitles. Like, actually, it felt like, yeah, I didn't even need Japanese subtitles. I could just take that way and was just following along with just watching the story. So I thought that was a really interesting experience. Now, in hindsight, studying a drama line by line, it is effective, but it's probably better if you don't, because you're going to be learning stuff that's maybe at I'm not going to say higher level, just that when you talk about frequency, like I've mentioned before, the top 2,000 most used words in the Japanese language are used, let's say, 75% of the time, and then top 4,000, that now you're up to 90%, 6,000. So if you're learning something that's in the 15,000 or beyond range, then okay, yeah, it was good for that story, but it's not necessary for getting better in Japanese. And you're trying to learn Japanese not to be good at just one drama. You're trying to be good at kind of like you really want to cast a broad net. So that's why you don't want to learn in frequency order, because that's not a good order to learn it. But it is good to learn frequency groups and catch let's say the top 2,000 words. That's kind of like what, if you look at the Tango books, those are kind of what they're doing. Here's the top 1,000 words, and then Tango N4 is the next most common 1,500 words, and Tango N3 is the next most common 2,000 words. And roughly, it's not precise. There's a little bit of judgment call thrown into there. Because some of the most common words are going to be names, and a lot of names are not used in these. In a lot of the example sentences, because they try to use more. Sometimes they just use generic pronouns. But yeah, names would be as important, and places can be important. Especially places around Tokyo, or I'm sorry, places around Japan, or specifically areas of Tokyo, because you'll see those pop up. And actually reference as if, yeah, like this is such a well-known place in Tokyo, people should know what it is. And then that becomes it is in itself is a vocabulary word, even though it's technically a societal base. But again, the Japanese language is kind of like centered around Japan. Go figure. So you kind of have to take that as you kind of have to accept that as well, and to get better at the language. So anyway, what I was saying is, like, let's frequency. So what you can do is make sure, hey, learn sentence by sentence. Instead of learning sentence by sentence, this is where the Morphman comes into play, where, I mentioned this before, it will scan all the subtitles, so you will use the subtitles from the show. Well, it's not going to, but you give it a priority list, so say, hey, this if it's not in this top 20,000 word list, maybe don't prioritize me learning that. So it'll do it in that way, where it gives higher weight to words that are in the top 20,000. Then if the remaining words are not in the top 20,000, they'll start showing you that, if there's some words left. Now you get to a point where, hey, now you've cast a broad net to learn stuff that's useful for all of Japanese. And then you also make sure that you've learned words that are useful for following the story. The reason why you also want to be able to follow the story is that if you study a drama in that way, you want to play that drama on loop in the what's called the background audio. And again, you want to be able to passively comprehend it, so your brain is able to pay attention when it's able to. Like, let's say you're walking. Now, obviously, you're concentrating on walking, but you can then pay attention to what you're listening to because it's playing on loop. And if you then become distracted by something where most of your attention is towards something that's not listening, okay, fine, it doesn't matter. But then when you get to where you can now pay attention to what you're listening to, now you've got that passive immersion that is going to be really important in improving your Japanese ability. And it's always better to have in your immersive audio from stuff you've studied now. And when you first start off, the stuff you study is not going to be dramas. It's going to be, again, like these Tango books. So these are just, not random sentences, but these are disjointed sentences. But hopefully you mix it in with audio from something, instead of maybe not watched, but you've studied. Or, I'm sorry, not just studied, but you've watched. But then later on, for me, I'm doing it with audio from stuff I've done with these Let's Reads. So I haven't studied these dramas, or these light novels, or this anime. It's not really, I just looked up words. I didn't know what to follow along with the story, so I kind of know what the story's going. So if I go back and look at this again, words that I've looked up, I've probably forgotten them already. Even from yesterday, there's some words I already just forgotten. So it's not 100%, but I do understand the story, kind of know what the plot is. A lot of the language I just understand because of my level in Japanese. So it just is a useful tool to play in the background, to where there's always Japanese playing. And again, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that, and I'm trying to put myself in the headspace of, oh yeah, which story is this? Because I've actually put on random, so like it might pop up to, oh wow, this is like the last episode of Death Note or something. It's like, okay, cool, and then I'll kind of like listen in, and if I pay attention, then if I get distracted, then no harm, no foul. Okay, sorry about it. I guess I could say is, like, as I kind of remind people, there's what you want to do when you first start learning Japanese will be different than what you do in the middle part of your study. Like, you were at 4,000 words in. And it's definitely going to be different when you're at the later stages of your active study, where you're like 6,000 to 10,000 words in or beyond, where hopefully you're at that fluent stage. And same as. But in all of it, I think just for fun, just enjoy stuff that's in Japanese. That you can do from day one. It may have to be, you use English subtitles. I mean, just know that, like, it's pretty much, don't count that as I would say, like, if you try to do it in Japanese, like, you probably don't. What I've said here is like, I'll watch the show, but I'll read the summary in English right now. That was a suggestion by Matt vs. Japan. It's a good suggestion. So yeah, read the summary ahead of time. That way you kind of know what's happening in the story when you're watching it for fun. And now your brain can be primed and is looking for stuff. But if you're at your very beginning stages, again, you just know so little. You're not going to get much from. You're not going to be able to follow along strictly from the Japanese. So you're just doing it for fun, kind of like getting used to the language. But again, if you're not thinking in English, that's why you maybe want to remove the English subtitles, is so you're not thinking in English so much as you're just paying attention. So a lot of your thinking is sometimes visuals and motion, and maybe just how people are saying stuff. And you can pay attention more to that than the words that happen to be crossing across the bottom of the screen. All right, I've talked enough on that. Let's get started. This may be a difficult episode because, like I said, from episode 16 on, I think that was from 16 on, it gets more metaphysical. Uh, it gets definitely weird. The monsters are not acting like your standard monsters that were happening at the beginning of the series. I mean, they're just doing weird stuff. They're like again, like one was a virus, or literally a computer. I mean, it's like a virus. It was like a computer virus. Another one just was again on a dimensional plane. It was actually a shadow. I mean, this is just again, these are like weird monsters. One was this weird eyeball shape up in space. It was just dropping bombs. That was almost like the last standard monster they ran into, and even that was not really standard. It was like weird anyway. And yeah, just again, like last episode was like again, the thing that they're using, the Evangelions, absorbed one of the pilots. Like it was absorbed in the thing. Then you assume like, yeah, this thing has absorbed previously has absorbed. You assume it says Shinji's mom. So yeah, so this is weird. But on the other hand, though, with that change, I found this anime has been really enjoyable since that shift. It goes from just being okay. This is just okay. It's not the thing I enjoy. It's not what I find enjoyable in stories. And to like, hey, wow, this is meaty. This is something you can chew on. this is a yeah. Now this is entertainment because you can think about it later. I mean, think about, I don't know. Like I said, I'll bring up Voltron because you compare this to Voltron, and it's like Voltron's always the same fucking thing. Just okay, here they fight. Oh my god, we're gonna lose. Hey, why don't we just bring out this sword that we've always had access to and cut the monster in half? Gosh, why didn't we think about that? In the first battle, and it just it just got so. Or another one would be G.I. Joe, where I always imagine like, hey, look, okay, with G.I. Joe, like, oh wow, the Cobra's plan just went to shit because of something accidental, but there was nothing wrong with the plan. Yeah, it didn't work, but it could work again, and they never try the plan again because there was nothing to say. They never did anything to help stop them to say, hey, this is how we're going to stop them from trying this again. That was never in the show. Whereas you have this other, and I remember as a kid I was impressed where it was called Spiral Zone, and with Spiral Zone you had like the equivalent of your Cobra equivalent where they're trying to take over the world. But anytime they tried some type of plan, there was always a little bit. They always took a little bit. The writers are always really good about take a little bit of time to say, hey, this is why they can't. They've been defeated. Good. Now this is how we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again. It was a small thing, but I remember as a young kid like appreciating that small thing. That oh wow, yeah, that makes sense. You don't. If if the enemy found a weakness, yeah, okay, you're able to hold off, but that weakness is still there. You need to fix that weakness. Anyway, it does feel like it's addressed in this story. Like again, if there was a hole being drilled, well, did you patch up that hole? No. Well, that explains how the enemy is able to still get access to getting closer and closer bases because again, it takes a long time to try to fix back up a defense. Like if your armor's been melted, your armor's not good for the next attack. You got to replace the armor, and that's like okay, cool. And it seems to be accounting for that. All right, let's get into it. Oh, let me turn down my microphone. There we go. Okay. Hmm.
拉致されたって副司令が。
拉致。 What? 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 拉致。 it's a kidnapping.
今より2時間前です。
情報会員。
西の第8艦口を最後に消息を絶っています。
消息。
うちの所内じゃない。あなたたち諜報部は何やってたの？
身内に内報および先導した者がいます。その人物に裏を書かれました。
諜報二課を煙に負けるやつ。
紙に負けるやつ。
まさか
梶良二、この事件の首謀者と目される人物です。
首謀者。
で、私のところに来たわけね。
ご理解が早く助かります。作戦課長を疑うのは同じ職場の人間として心苦しいのですが、
心苦しい。
これも仕事ですので。
彼と私の経歴を考えれば当然の処置でしょうね。
ご協力感謝します。お連れしろ。
失礼し
久しぶりです、キール議長。まったく手荒な歓迎ですな。
手荒な。全く手荒な歓迎ですな。
非礼を浴びる必要はない。
比例を浴びる。比例を浴びる。
君とゆっくり話をするためには当然の処置だ。
相変わらずですね。私の都合は関係なしですか。
議題としている問題が急務なのでね。
議題としている問題が急務It's important 話題急入なので
やむなく処置
やむな
分かってくれたまえ。
委員会ではなく税令のお出ましとは。
我々は新たな神を作るつもりはないのだ。ご協力を願いますよ、冬月先生。
冬月先生か。
先生、冬月先生。
ん？ああ、君たちか。
これからどないです？鴨川でビールでも。
またかね。
涼子らが先生と一緒なら行く言うとりますんや。
教授もたまには顔出せ言うてはりましたで。
ああ、分かったよ。
たまにはこうして外で飲むのもよかろ
はあ、
君は優秀だが人の付き合いというものを軽く見ているのがいかんな。
恐れ入ります。
ところで冬月君、生物工学で面白いレポートを書いてきた学生がいるんだがね。
生物工学、バイオニクス、生物工学、バイオメカニクス、バイオテクノロジー。生物工学、面白いレポートを書いてきた学生がいるんだなんかな。
イカリという学生なんだが知ってるかね。
イカリ？いいえ。
君のことを話したらぜひ会いたいと言ってた。そのうち連絡があるだろうからよろしく頼むよ。
イカリ君ですね。わかりました。これ読ませてもらったよ。2、3疑問が残るが刺激のあるレポートだね。
疑問が残る。2、3疑問が残るが刺激のあるレポートだね。
ありがとうございます。
碇ゆい君だったね。
はい。
この先どうするつもりかね。就職か？それともここの研究室に入るつもりかね。
まだそこまで考えていません。それに第三の選択もあるんじゃありません？家庭に入ろうかとも思っているんです。いい人がいればの話ですけど。
S2 機関を自ら搭載し、
自ら搭載し、
絶対的存在を手にした。
絶対的存在を手にした。
エヴァンゲリオン初号機、我々に具象化された核は不要なのだよ。
具象化された神は
神を作ってはいかん。
ましてあの男に神を手渡すわけにはいかんよ。
まして
碇玄斗、信用に足る人物かな。
碇玄斗、
六分岐玄道？
六分岐。So that's his original name. 六分岐玄道。
聞いたことはあります。
16 years ago.
いえ、面識はありませんが、いろいろと噂の絶えない男ですから。
面識。Never stops. 絶えないとこ。噂の絶えない。
え、私を身元引受人に？
元引き受けに身元
いえ、伺います。いつ伺えばよろしいでしょうか。
Oh, wait, let me,
ある人物からあなたの噂を聞きましてね。一度お会いしたかったんですよ。
酔って喧嘩とは意外と安っぽい男だな。
話す間もなく一方的に絡まれましてね。
絡まれましたね。
人に好かれるのは苦手ですが、疎まれるのは慣れています。
止まれる、止まれるのは
まあ私には関係のないことだ。
冬月先生、どうやらあなたは僕が期待した通りの人のようだ。
そう、彼の第一印象は嫌な男だった。
第一印象 first impression 嫌な男だった。
そしてあの時はまだこの国に季節、秋があった。本当かね。
はい、六分岐さんとお付き合いさせていただいてます。
それを聞いた時、
独白、セルフ、劇や衝撃、独白。
私は驚きを隠せなかった。君があの男と並んで歩くと。
あら、冬月先生、あの人はとても可愛い人なんですよ。みんな知らないだけです。
知らない方が幸せかもしれんな。
あの人に紹介したことご迷惑でした？
いや、面白い男であることは認めるよ。好きにはなれんがね。だが彼は
I wonder something.
ユイ君の才能とそのバックボーンの組織を目的に近づいたというのが仲間。
だが彼はユイ君の才能とそのバックボーンの組織目的に近づいたというのがその仲がない。通説だった。
うちでの通説だった。その組織がゼーレと呼ばれるという噂を。その後耳にした。セカンドインパクト、20世紀最後の年にあの悲劇は起こった。そして21世紀最初の年は地獄しかなかった。他に語る言葉を持たない年だ。 れがかつての氷の大陸とはな。
かつて昔、かつての氷は
見る影もない。
I wonder something. 見る影もない。見る影もない。
月教授。
君か。よく生きていたな。君は例の葛城調査隊に参加していたと聞いていたが。
君は葛城調査隊さん。
運よく事件の前日、日本に戻っていたので悲劇を免れました。
免れました。
そうか。六分岐君、君は。
失礼、今は名前を変えてまして。
はがき？名刺じゃないのかね。碇玄道。
妻がこれを冬月教授にとうるさいので。あなたのファンだそうです。
それは光栄だな。
お久しぶりです。元気ですか？
ゆい君はどうしてる？このツアーには参加しないのかね。
ゆいも来たがっていましたが、今は子供がいるのでね。
君の組織ゼーレとか言ったかな。嫌な噂が絶えないね。
噂が絶えない。I wonder if that's a phrase. 嫌な噂が絶えないね。
力で理事会を抑え込むのは。
Actually, let me see something. 絶えない。
感心できん。
力で理事会を。力で。
変わらずの潔癖主義だ。
変わらず。潔癖。潔癖。潔癖主義だ。変わらずの潔癖主義だ。
この時代に綺麗な組織など生き残れませんよ。
今回のセカンドインパクトの正式調査。
正式調査。
これもゼーレの人間だけで調査隊を組めば。
組めば。
いろいろと面倒なことになる。そのための間に合わせだろう、私たちは。
暗いとこはまだ苦手ね。 嫌なことばかり思い出すわ。
彼女。
例の調査団ただ一人の生き残りです。名は桂木美里。
桂木博士のお嬢さんか。
はい、もう2年近くも口を開いていません。
ひどいな。
それだけの地獄を見たのです。体の傷は治っても心の傷はそう簡単には治りませんよ。
そうだな。こっちの調査結果も簡単には出せないな。この光の巨人、謎だらけだよ。その後国連はセカンドインパクトは大質量隕石の落下によるものであると正式発表した。
大質量隕石とかによるものであることを正式。
だが私の目から見ればそれはあからさまに情報操作をされたものだった。
あからさまに情報操作。Information manipulation. Let's see. So
その裏にはゼーレ、そしてキールという人物が見え隠れしていた。私はあの事件の闇の真相を知りたくなった。
真相。
その先にたとえ碇結衣の名があろうとも。なぜ巨人の存在を隠す？セカンドインパクト知っていたんじゃないのかね、君らは。その日あれが起こることを。君は運よく事件の前日に引き上げたと言っていたな。すべての資料を一緒に引き上げたのも幸運か。
こんなものが処分されずに残っていたとは意外です。
君の資産いろいろと調べさせてもらった。子供の養育に金はかかるだろうが、個人で持つには額が多すぎないかね。
多すぎないかな。
さすが冬月教授、経済学部に転校なさったらどうです？
セカンドインパクトの裏に潜む君たちゼーレと視界文書を公表させてもらう。あれを起こした人間たちを許すつもりはない。
お好きに。ただその前にお目にかけたいものがあります。
随分潜るんだな。
潜む、潜る、潜む、潜る。
ご心配ですか？
多少ね。
これは我々ではない誰かが残した空間ですよ。89% は埋まっていますがね。
元は綺麗な球場の地底空間か。
元は綺麗な球場の地底
あれが人類の持てる全てを費やしている施設です。
冬月先生。
赤木、
赤木君、君もかね。
赤木君。
ええ、ここは目指すべき生体コンピューターの基礎理論を模索するベストなところですのよ。
Founding theory, 基礎 fundamental theory, 基礎理論模索するベストなところです。
マギと名付けるつもりですわ。
マギ、東方より来たりし三賢者か。
Oh, the east. 東方より来たりし。賢者。三賢者か。
見せたいものとはこれか？
いいえ、こちらです。律子、すぐ戻るわ。
I always thought of her as being a blonde, not brunette.
これはまさかあの巨人を。
あの物体を我々ゲヒルンではアダムと呼んでいます。
ゲヒルンではアダムと。
これは違います。オリジナルのものではありません。
では
そうです。アダムより人の作りし者です。
エヴァ。
我々のアダム再生計画、通称 E 計画のひな形たるエヴァ0号機だよ。
通称いい計画のひな形モデル。 映画化の日の形たるエヴァ。
神のプロトタイプか。
冬月、俺と一緒に人類の新たな歴史を作らないか。
Sorry, let me just take a break real quick. So, yeah, it was just as I was thinking. This is going to be a difficult episode. There is a lot going on, and it's not easy to follow. Oh, man. Oh, I mean, like, you read here and kind of, like, figure it out, I mean, through the reading. And also, like I said, I already kind of read up on it. But the, yeah, it's... I mean, it does have a little bit of the comic book flaws in that, hey, you know, that they're putting a lot of stuff on chance. Like, just the smallest thing and all the stuff that led up to this would have just made all these plans just go away. You know, like, you know, just how close to death a lot of, like, the Evangelion pilots came to is, for example. But, yeah. But, again, I don't know how the full story is going about. But, so, time will tell.
先輩。
あ、ごめんなさい。例の再テスト急ぎましょう。
桂木さん、今日見ませんね。
え、そうね。桂木さん？
そう、桂木美里、よろしくね。
長野県第二新東京市。Second Tokyo。
母さん、先日桂木ということ知り合いました。他の人たちは私を遠巻きに見るだけで、その都度母さんの名前の重さを思い知らされるのですが、なぜか彼女だけは私に対しても屈託がありません。
屈託がありません。
彼女は例の調査隊ただ一人の生き残りと聞きました。一時失語症になったそうですが、
失語症。失語症になったそうですか。
今はブランクを取り戻すかのようにベラベラとよくしゃべります。りっちゃん、こっちは変わらず地下に潜りっぱなしです。地球のお弁当にも飽きました。
地球。
上では第二戦闘計画による第三新東京市の計画に着工したようです。
第二戦闘計画による着工。Instruction, okay.
このところ美里が大学に来ないので理由を白状させたらバカみたいでした。
白状。理由は白状かな。
ずっと彼氏とアパートで寝ていたそうです。飽きもせず1週間もダラダラと
ダラダラ。
彼女の意外な一面を知った感じです。今日紹介されました。顔はいいのですが、どうも私はあの軽い感じが馴染めません。
馴染む。幼馴染む。Come friendly? Come familiar. うん。馴染めません。幼馴染め。
昔から男の子が苦手でしたね、りっちゃんは。やはり女手一つで。ごめんなさい。ずっと放任してたものね。
やはり女って女で。
いやね、都合のいい時だけ母親面するのは。
いやね。うん。
母親か。
箱根。うん。演歌。圧力。演歌圧力プラス。往診部。往診部。デストール。
なぜここに子供がいる？
碇所長の息子さんです。
碇、ここは託児所じゃない。
託児所。うん。Daycare, probably. 託児所。託児所じゃない。
今日は大事な日だぞ。
ごめんなさい、冬月先生。私が連れてきたんです。
ルイ君、今日は君の実験なんだぞ。
だからなんです。この子には明るい未来を見せておきたいんです。
それがゆいさん最後の言葉でした。
うん。
イレギュラーな事件は彼女をこの世から消し去ってしまいました。私の願いそのままに。なんて嫌な女なんでしょうね。りっちゃん、この日を境に碇所長は変わったわ。
この日を境に、うん。
この1週間どこへ行っていた？昇進もいい。だがもうお前一人の体じゃないことを自覚してくれ。
自覚してくれ。
分かっている。冬月、
冬月。
今日から新たな計画を推奨する。
推奨する。
キール議長には提唱済みだ。
提唱。提唱済みだ。
まさかあれを。そうだ、かつて誰もが成し得なかった神への道。人類補完計画だよ。
人類補完計画だよ。
母さん、マギの基礎理論完成おめでとう。
基礎理論完成。
そのお祝いというわけでもないけど、私のゲヒルンへの正式入社が内定しました。
ゲヒルン、ゲヒルン。正式内定。フィション、フィション、内定しました。
来月からいい計画勤務となります。技術開発部赤木律子。これ ID。発令所の躯体ができたそうだから見に来たんだけど、
具体が
迷路ね、ここ。
発令所なら今所長と赤木博士が見えてますよ。
本当にいいのね。
ああ、自分の仕事に後悔はない。
くそ、ユイさんのこと忘れられないんでしょ。でもいいの、私は。
あれがゲヒルン本部だよ。
所長、おはようございます。お子さん連れですか？あら、でも確か男の子。
真珠ではありません。知人の子を預かることになりましてね。綾波レイと言います。
レイちゃん、こんにちは。
この子、誰かに。ユイさん。綾波レイに関する全ファイル、魔書。上手に。
魔書 scrubbed clean。消しゴム。魔書済み。
白紙だわ。どういう。ってこと？マギ・カスパー、マギ・バルタザール、マギ・メルキオール。
カスパー、バルサー。
マギは3人の私、科学者としての私、母親としての私、女としての私、その3つがせめぎ合ってるの。
せめぎが。 せめぎ合ってる。
3つの母さんか。あとは電源を入れるだけね。今日先帰るわね。美里が帰ってくるのよ。
そうそう、彼女ゲヒルに入ってたのね。確かドイツ。
ええ、第3支部勤務。じゃ
支部勤務。
あ、遠距離恋愛ね。
うん。遠距離恋愛。遠距離恋愛。
別れたそうよ。
あら、お似合いのカップルに見えたのに。
男と女は分からないわ。ロジックじゃないもの。
そういう冷めたところ変わらないわね。自分の幸せまで逃しちゃうわよ。
幸せの定義なんてもっと分からないわよ。
幸せの定義なんて。
さてと、飲みに行くの久しぶりだわ。
お疲れ様。
お疲れ様。
何かご用、レイちゃん。
道に迷ったの。
あら、そう。じゃあ私と一緒に出ようか。
いい。
でも一人じゃ帰れないでしょ。
大きなお世話よ。ばあさん。
何？
一人で帰れるからほっといて、ばあさん。
人のことばあさんなんて言うもんじゃないわ。
だってあなたばあさんでしょ。
怒るわよ。碇所長に叱ってもらわなきゃ。
所長がそう言ってるのよ、あなたのこと。
そう。
ばあさんはしつこいとか、ばあさんは用済みだとか。ばあさんは用済みだとか、ばあさんはしつこいとか、ばあさんは用済みだとか、ばあさんは用済みだとか、ばあさんは所長が言ってる、ばあさんあなたのこと、所長が言ってる、ばあさんは用済みだとか、あなたのこと、あなたのこと。
That's kind of I guess she's under a lot of stress. You just gotta let out that stress by choking a 5-year-old girl to death. You know how it is.
あんたなんか死んでも代わりはいるのよ。レイ、私と同じね。
ヒール・ローレンツを議長とする人類補完委員会は調査組織であるゲヒルンを即日解体。
即日dissolved, right? By dividing. Dispersed. 解体。即日解体。
全計画の遂行組織として特務機関ネルフを結成した。そして我々はそのまま席をネルフへと移した。ただ一人マギシステム開発の功績者
much. Koseki. Sugureta sek.
赤木博士を
除いて So, did she commit suicide or did she get thrown off by someone else? I'm guessing suicide if it's in reaction to, I don't know, I mean, this, she kind of like flipped, like seriously flipped.
君か。
ご無沙汰です。外の見張りにはしばらく眠ってもらいました。
この行動は君の命取りになるぞ。
真実に近づきたいだけなんです。僕の中のね。ご協力ありがとうございました。
もういいの？
はい、問題は解決しましたから。
そう。彼は？
存じません。よ、遅かったじゃないか。
Is that June going? Juse. That's it. Oh, they turned back the Ebisu beer. Serinaki.
その時僕は美里さんから逃げることしかできなかった。他には何もできない、何も言えない子供なんだと。 僕は分かった。
シンジに負けたことで精神の落とし穴に落ち込むアスカ。さらに使徒の放つ精神攻撃が彼女の心にとどめを刺す。
さらにincreasingly さらに人の夏人の放つ精神攻撃メンタルアタック彼女の心にとどめを刺す。シンジはアスカに慰めの言葉を持たなかった。慰めの言葉は次回せめて人間らしく。All right, so yeah, that took about an hour just to get through. That was yeah, that was difficult. I think obviously what made it difficult is because there was like a lot of jumping around, and they're trying to essentially do a lot of backstory, trying to fill in a lot of the backstory there, which is important. You can definitely tell some stuff happened. That they still haven't shown everything, like what is about Adam. More about what Adam is. Well, Second Impact was not a meteor. It was something. But what is this thing from? Is it an alien? Is it something that exists on the Earth already? What are these? We still don't know that. We still don't know what the full plan is for. For Ikari, what happened, what fully happened to the wife. Again, you assume that she got absorbed into the first Evangelion, but yeah, time will tell on that. Cool. So I got one more to go after this. Let me just take a quick break, and yeah, I'll be right back. All right, let's turn up the news.
ヨーロッパでは感染の拡大が続いていますが、スペインで25日、死者の数が3434人に達しました。中国本土での数を超え、イタリアの死者7503人に次いで世界で2番目となります。スペイン議会は非常事態宣言の2週間の延長を可決しました。外出禁止や店舗の営業停止などの措置は来月11日まで続けられます。JNN のまとめでは、世界での死者数が今朝の時点で2万人を超えました。一方、感染者数については、イタリアで7万4386人となり、中国本土での感染者数をあと数日で超える恐れが出てきました。欧州疾病予防管理センターは25日、シンガポールなど高温多湿の気候でもウイルスの活動が弱まらないことなどから、北半球が夏になっても感染拡大は収束しそうにないとの見通しを示しています。
国内の一部で外出自粛要請の動きもある中、すでに外出が制限されているロンドンやニューヨークではさまざまな問題が浮上しています。 こちらロンドン一のビジネス街の中心地で、普段ならこの時間帰宅する通勤客でごった返していますが、現在はほとんど人の姿が見当たりません。イギリス政府は23日、生活必需品の買い物などを除き外出を禁止し、可能な限りの在宅勤務を指示しました。外出する際には他人から2メートル離れるようにという指示も出る中、ロンドンの地下鉄では通勤客の混雑が見られました。感染拡大を和らげるためなどとして運行を減らしたことが背景にあるとみられますが、逆に感染リスクを高めているのではないかという指摘も出ています。こうした中、事実上の外出制限令が出されているニューヨーク州では、
ニューヨークマンハッタンの一角にある駐車場で現在テントの建設作業が進められています。これらのテントは臨時の遺体安置所として使われる予定です。
市内での仮設の遺体安置所の設置は2001年のアメリカ同時多発テロ、2012年のハリケーン被害以来のことです。ニューヨーク州ではこれまで285人が死亡、遺体の収容能力を超える事態には至っていませんが、州全体で今後2週間から3週間で感染のピークを迎えるとの見方もあり、死者数のさらなる増加が懸念されています。
東京オリンピック・パラリンピックの延期を受け、大会組織委員会はすでに販売した観戦チケットについて延期後の大会でも権利を維持し観戦できるようにする方針を固めました。東京オリンピック・パラリンピックのチケットはすでに合わせておよそ544万枚が。
Okay, let's get the next one up. せめて人間らしく、男らしい。
残酷。
All right, so I don't know how this one's going to work compared to the previous one. Like maybe it'll be a little bit simpler. I'm guessing like from here on out, every single episode is going to be like difficult to watch, like difficult as in the type of the type of vocabulary that's going to be used. I mean, that was, and it's going to get weirder. I'm guessing it's going to get weirder and weirder as well. Like obviously the last one that was jump around time. That there was nothing confusing about the story personally. I mean, if I watch, I'm pretty sure if I watched it with English subtitles, I could have followed the story along pretty well. It's not like that complicated. It's not that super complicated. It's a good story. It's interesting and all that. But I don't think you can go and like look and say, oh wow, that was like there was something subtle that on the third viewing you're going to really get, or you're it's like, oh yeah, there were. You can look back and say, yeah, there was a setup, and I do feel like if I did do a rewatch on this, I will pick up some stuff that, because they were definitely going to say they had an idea of where they're going, so they're making sure to drop hints along the way as to this is why this is why we're doing yeah. But as far as plans go, I mean, I don't. It was just one of the things. Like, careful about when you got stories where, something like this big plan. I've always thought it's like in Battlestar Galactica. They found like, oh wow, this one couple could have that were the Cylons could have a baby. It's like, oh, and then that proved okay, cool. Then we don't have to worry about anything. Yeah, that's a problem because it's like, okay, you need more than just one. If you're putting all your hopes on that one thing, then again, it's like shit happens. People end up dying through other reasons. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Which is in this series, obviously they're putting all their eggs in one basket. And it's wondering like, why are all these angels always attacking this one place? And of course we know now it's like because they're all going after the atom thing, or the remains of the atom. But then why did they just start? I mean, this has been like 15 years, and all of a sudden they just started coming. And unless it's like, okay, unless we find out later, like something activated that started attracting the angels or the monsters, then okay, yeah, then that makes sense. But it was like, well, if you're going to do that, why did why flip the switch before you had your main guy ready? The Shinji character, just because again, he almost died. He was like just in the very first episode could have been wiped out. And then what do you do? I mean, just that is a very stupid plan. It's like, oh, if your plan depends on doing stuff at the very last, on accomplishing something at the very last second, you don't have a very good plan. It just is not there. Anyway, time will tell. We'll see how the story goes. But I still like the story. I just think though, if they ever redid it, following the same thing, they would try to smooth things out to make sure it logically follows. Like you can't think, hey, you know what? It couldn't have happened any other way. The way it was set up, it had to happen this way because it was just, again, it's just because of where people happen to be at when events occurred. Then yeah, it makes sense. But if you do it to where it's like saying, no, I want these events to happen, and logistics be damned, then people look back on it, it's like, well, yeah, why did that happen? There was no reason for that to happen, sort of thing. Cool. And all right, let's go.
家庭が現実の話になった。
家庭に。Unrelated assumption, suppose. 家庭に。
因果なものだな。提唱した本人が実験台とは。では。
Cause and result. Cause and effect. 原因なの。原因なの。
あの接触実験が直接の原因というわけか。
精神崩壊、それが接触の結果か。
For Inga? Okay, I see what you mean now.
しかし残酷なものさ。あんな小さな子を残して自殺とは。
いや。
案外それだけが原因でもないかもしれんな。
アスカちゃん、ママね、今日はあなたの大好物を作ったのよ。ほら、好き嫌いしているとそこのお姉ちゃんに笑われますよ。
毎日あの調子ですわ。人形を娘さんだと思って話しかけてます。
彼女なりに責任を感じているのでしょう。研究ばかりの毎日で娘を構ってやる余裕もありませんでしたから。
ご主人のお気持ちはお察しします。
しかしあれではまるで人形の親子だ。いや、人間と人形の差なんて紙一重なのかもしれませんが。
紙一重。一重なのかもしれない。
人形は人間が自分の姿を模して作ったものですから。もし神がいたとしたら、我々はその人形に過ぎないのかもしれません。
近代医学の担い手とは思えないお言葉ですね。
Is it medical? 近代 Modern medicine. Yeah. 近代医学の担い手。近代医学の担い手とは。
私だって医師の前にただの人間。一人の女ですわ。
ゼペリン、ソリュー京子、ソリュー京子。うん。
偉いのね、アスカちゃん。いいのよ、我慢しなくても。
いいの、私は泣かない。私は自分で考えるの。
聞こえる、アスカ。シンクロ率8も低下よ。いつも通り余計なことは考えず。やってるわよ。
せめて人間らしく、人間らしく、男らしく、人間らしく。うん。
最近のアスカのシンクロ率下がる一方ですね。
困ったわね、この余裕のない時に。やはり例の0号機を優先させましょう。
優先させましょう。
今は同時に修理できるだけのゆとりはないわ。
ゆとりはない。うん、余裕がない。うん、ゆとりはない。
2号機左腕の埋投資作業は数値目標をクリア。
マイトシス作業は数値目標をクリア。
ネクローシスは現在0.05% 未満。
アポトーシス作業問題ありません。0号機の携帯形成システムは現状を維持。
携帯形成、うん、携帯形成システム。
各レセプターを第2シグナルへ接続してください。あのアダムより生まれし者エヴァシリーズ。セカンドインパクトを引き起こした原因たるものまで流用しなければ、 私たちは使徒に勝てない。逆に生きるためには自分たちを滅ぼそうとしたものをも利用する。それが人間なのね。やはり私はエヴァを憎んでいるのかもしれない。父の敵か。
桂木さん、
エヴァ13号機までの建造開始。世界7カ所で、
上海経由の情報です。
上海。Oh.
ソースに信頼は置けます。
なぜこの時期に量産を急ぐの？
エヴァを過去に2機失い、現在は2機も大破ですから。第2次整備に向けて
整備調子。
予備戦力の増強を急いでいるのでは。
増強。
どうかしら。ここにしてもドイツで建造中の56号機のパーツを回してもらってるのよ。最近随分と金が動いてるわね。
ここに来て予算倍増ですからね。
予算倍増。予算倍増ですからね。
それだけ上も切羽詰まってるってことでしょうか。
切羽詰まる。切羽詰まってる。詰まってるってこと。
委員会の焦りらしきものを感じるわね。
焦りらし
き。では今までのような単独ではなく、使徒の複数同時展開のケースを設定したものでしょうか。
そうね。でも非公式に行う理由がないわ。
非公式に行う理由がないわ。
何か別の目的があるのよ。久しぶりに3人揃ったってのにギスギスしてるわね。
ギスしてるわね。
ごちそうさま。アスカ、いやよ。どうせカジさんからミサト宛ての出るでしょ。ミサトが出なさいよ。
それはないわ。
あら、無敵の神事様にそのような雑務を。
無敵。雑務。 そのように雑務を申し訳ない。
申し訳ないですわね。
はい、もしもし。
何よ、すましずらしちゃってさ。
すましずら。うん。何をすましずら。
ドイツから国際電話。アスカにお母さんから。
私にママから。貸しなさいよ。ハローブタ。ビアハベラスケニスケヘン。
知らない言葉で話していると、まるでアスカが知らない人みたいだ。
Ah, niemals. Ist ein sauber Mensch. Ja, ja. Wirklich? Ah, so. Das ist aber toll fantastisch.
お母さんか。
Richtig gibt's keine Lege. Es ist bald zu Bett gehen. Auf Wiederhören. Gute Nacht.
Als Wiedersehen? Gute Nacht. Gute Nacht. Gute.
ずいぶん長電話だったじゃない。
ま、いつものコミュニケーションってやつ。
いいな、家族の会話。
まあ、上っ面はね。
上っ面はね。
表層的なものよ。
表層的な。
本当の母親じゃないし。でも嫌いってわけじゃないのよ。ちょっと苦手なだけ。なんであんたにこんなこと話さなきゃなんないのよ。
なぜなきゃなんのよ。
ごめん。
はっ、あんたなんかに同情されたらこの私もおしまいだわ。
シンクログラフマイナス 12.8 起動指数ギリギリです。
起動指数 target sig Those also points index numbers indexes 起動指数ギリギリです。
ひどいものね。昨日よりさらに落ちてるじゃない。
昨日よりさらに落ちてるじゃない。
アスカ、今日調子悪いのよ。2日目だし、シンクロ率は表層的な身体の不調に左右されないわ。問題はもっと深層意識にあるのよ。
深層意識。もっと深層意識。
2号機の子は変更もやむなしかしらね。
変更もやむなし。やむない。
アスカ、
上がっていいわ。
喫煙キムチ。喫煙症。
アスカのプライドガタガタね。無理もないわよ、あんな負け方しちゃ。っていうよりシンジ君に負けたって思ってる方が大きいわね。もう限界かしらね。3人で暮らすのも。臨界点突破？
臨界点。 突破？回転突破？
楽しかった家族ごっこもここまで。
猫で寂しさ紛らわせてた人に言われたかないわね、そんなセリフ。
紛らわず。
ごめん、余裕ないのね私。女だからってなんでこんな目に遭わなきゃいけないのよ。子供なんて絶対いらないのに。
閉鎖。現在閉鎖中です。A lot of silence on that. Seriously? Well, that's saving some time. It's like, okay, hey, we got to fill up 20 minutes or so, so let's just put 30 seconds in the elevator. Literally do nothing. Just...
心を開かなければエヴァは動かないわ。
心を閉ざしてるってのこの私が。
そう、エヴァには心がある。
あの人形に？
分かってるはずよ。
はっ、あんたから話しかけてくるなんて。明日は雪かしらね。何よ、私がエヴァに乗れないのがそんなに嬉しい？心配しなくっても使徒が攻めてきたら無敵の神事様がやっつけてくれるわよ。私たちは何もしなくていいのよ。神事だけがいればいいのよ。はあ、神事だけじゃなく機械人形みたいなあんたにまで同情されるとは。この私も焼きが回ったわね。
私は人形じゃない。
うるさい！人に言われたまま動くくせに。あんた碇司令が死ねと言ったら死ぬんでしょう。
そうよ。
やっぱり人形じゃない。あんたって人形みたいで本当昔から大嫌いなのよ。みんな大嫌い。
Nope, still don't care for her character. Nope, there's nothing that justifies her attitude yet. Don't care.
Shinji、今日も来ないな。綾波はいつものこととして。
アスカも来ない。鈴原もまだ退院できないし。
学校どころじゃないんだな。今や。
エヴァ2号機のシグナル。
卒業有効増殖増殖
あなたは私の人形なんだから黙って私の言う通りに動けばいいのよ。なんで兵器に心なんているのよ。邪魔なだけなのに。とにかく私の命令に逆らわなきゃいいのよ。ばっかみたい。
総員第一種戦闘配置、対空迎撃戦用意。
戦闘配置
使徒まだ来るの。
Don't be
使徒映像で確認。
映像が
最大望遠です。
衛星軌道から動きませんね。
Satellite orbit, right? 軌道 should be a satellite orbit, right? 衛星軌道かな。
ここからは一定距離を保っています。
ってことは効果接近の機会を伺ってるのか。
ってことは
その必要もなくここを破壊できるのか。
伺っている。なんかここを遊んできるか。
こりゃうかつに動けませんね。
うかつぼんやりしていた。
どのみち目標がこちらの射程距離内まで近づいてくれないとにもならないわ。エヴァーには衛星軌道の敵は迎撃できないもん。
軌道衛星軌道の敵は迎撃できない。
レイは05機ともに順調。
Let's see, Xmiser. Kanji, well, it's not really the amount of kanji, it's just the vocabulary. And like a lot of these kanji I know, but it's definitely it's in the order in which the words are being used. That's the problem there. Like Shate Kyori? Yeah, Shate Kyori. Shate Kyori. That's within the distance, effective distance, right? Range. Shate.
いけます。了解。0号機発進。超長距離射撃用意。2号機
わって冗談じゃないわよ。エヴァ2号機発進します。
Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry. It just. I'm saying, like, there's. Yeah, it's, like I said, there's just nothing enjoyable about her character. And it's like. Never mind.
アスカ、いいわ、先行してやらせましょう。
先行してやれ。
貫さんさ。
ここでダメならアスカもこれまでということね。
ラストチャンスですか。
2号機パイロットの変化考えとくわよ。
はい。
初号機は出さないんですか。
凍結なのよ。碇司令の絶対命令でね。
凍結なのよ。絶対命令。
あんなことの後じゃ無理ないか。
これを失敗したら多分2号機を降ろされる。は許されないわよ。アスカ。
目標未だ射程距離外です。
射程距離外です。
もうさっさとこっちへ来なさいよ、じれったいわね。
じれったい。Slow poke. Speed up. じれったい。Irritating, provoking, patient. Okay.
敵の指向性兵器なの？
いえ。
指向性。指向性兵器。Light weapon? 指向性 directive narrow beam radar 指向性兵器。
熱エネルギー反応なし。
心理グラフが乱れています。精神要請が始まります。
ああ、乱れています。心理グラフ乱れています。精神汚染。精神汚染が。
使徒が心理攻撃。まさか使徒に人の心が理解できるの？
心理 psychological attack mental attack mental attack
ダメです。射程距離外です。2号機ライフル残弾ゼロ。
光線の分析は？
Light path 分析 analyze the光線の分析を。
社長のエネルギー波です。
徴。ガシラ超エネルギー。
AT フィールドに近いものですが、詳細は不明です。
うん、詳細は不明です。
アスカ、危険です。精神汚染、Yに突入しました。私の中に入ってこないで。
覗かないで、覗く。心まで覗かないで。お願いだからこれ以上心を貸さないで。心を貸さないで。
シリグラフ限界。
精神回路がズタズタにされている。
ズタズタ。細かく。ズタズタされている。
これ以上のカフカは危険すぎる。
カフカ。カフカ。友情のカフカは危険だ。
アスカ戻って。嫌よ。命令よ。アスカ撤退しなさい。
撤退しなさい。
絶対に嫌。今戻るならここで死んだ方がマシだ。
加速器同調スタート。
Kazoki. That's supposed to be a railgun? High speed weapon. Katsuikie. Katsuikie. Kyosei. Judoku. That's gravity, right? Judoku gosa. Miscalculation. Oh, make a calculation in gravity. Gosa. Judoku gosa. Jodindo. That's magnetic field. Superconductivity. Yudo.
この遠距離で AT フィールドを貫くには
貫く
エネルギーがまるで足りません。しかし出力は最大です。もうこれ以上は。
2号機心理グラフシグナル離弱 LCL の精神貿易よ。
貿易精神貿易は
ダメです。触媒の効果もありません。
触媒の効果もありますね。
生命維持を最優先。
生命維持最優先
エヴァからの逆流を防いで。
エヴァからの
はい。この光はまるでアスカの精神波長を探っているみたいだ。まさか使徒は人の心を知ろうとしているの？
なんで私泣いてるんだろう。もう泣かないって決めたのに。
どうしたんだアスカ。新しいママからのプレゼントが気に入らなかったのか？
いいの。
何がいいのかな。
私は子供じゃない。早く大人になるの。ぬいぐるみなんて私にはいらないわ。だから私を見てママ。お願いだからママをやめないで。一緒に死んでちょうだい。汚されちゃったよ。パイロット危険域に入ります。
目標変化なし。相対距離依然変わらず。
0号機の射程距離内に移動する可能性は？
射程距離内に移動する可能性は It's always possibilities, right? 可能性
0.02% です。
0号機を空輸。
空輸、
空中から狙撃するか。いえ、ダメね。接近中に撃たれたらおしまいだわ。
僕が初号機で出ます。
いかん。目標はパイロットの精神を侵食するタイプだ。
侵食するタイプだ。
今初号機を侵食される事態は避けねばならん。
だったらやらなきゃいいんでしょ。
その保証はない。
もうこのままじゃアスカが。
構わん。レイ、ドグマを降りて槍を使え。
ロンギヌスの槍をか。
槍。
怒り、それは。
AT フィールドの届かぬ衛星軌道の目標を倒すには
AT フィールドの届く衛星軌道衛星軌道の目標を倒すのに
これしかない。急げ。
しかしアダムとエヴァーの接触はサードインパクトを引き起こす可能性が。あまりに危険です。碇司令、やめてください。嘘、欺瞞なのね。セカンドインパクトは死との接触が原因ではないのね。
セントラルドコマ10番から15番までを開放。第6丸5時0号機通過。続いて16番から20番開放。
サードインパクトは起きないというわけね。そんなことでは。だったらセカンドインパクトの原因は何？
まだ早いのではないか。
委員会はエヴァシリーズの量産に着手した。
着手。気をつけること。Are Shito the enemy? Yeah, the angels are the enemies. I mean, yeah, it means term is for angel, but yes, they're the monsters. 着手した。
チャンスだ、冬月。
しかしなあ、
時計の針は元には戻らない。だが自らの手で進めることはできる。
自らの手で、だが自らの手で進めることができる。
老人たちが黙っていないぞ。
ゼーレが動く前に全て済まさねばならん。今2号機を失うのは得策ではない。
得策ではない。
かといってロンギヌスの槍をロンギヌスの槍を手入れの許可なく使うのは面倒だぞ。
理由は存在すればいい。それ以上の意味はないよ。
理由？お前が欲しいのは口実だろ。
口実。だろ。欲しいのは口実だろ。
2号機のパイロットの脳波 0.06 に低下。
生命維持限界点です。
0号機2番を通過、地上に出ます。
あれがロンギヌスの槍。
0号機投擲体制。目標
投擲。投げ打つこと、投げること、投擲、throwing weapon、投擲、体制、force、readiness、投擲、体制。
確認、誤差修正よし。
カウントダウン入ります。10秒前。
標消滅。
エヴァ2号機解放されます。
Released. 解放されます。
ロンギヌスの槍は
第一宇宙速度突破。現在月軌道に移行しています。
回収は不可能に近いな。
不可能。
はい、あの質量を持ち帰る手段は今のところありません。
ところありません。
2号機現在グラフ正常位置。
機体回収は2番ケージ。
第67番ルートを使用してください。
アスカは
パイロットの生存は確認。汚染による貿易隔離は解除されています。
貿易隔離、貿易隔離、貿易隔離は解除、解除されています。
そう。
よかったね、アスカ。うるさいわね。ちっともよくないわよ。兄貴もよってあの女に助けられるなんて、あんな女に助けられるなんて、そんなことなら死んだ方がマシだったわよ。嫌い嫌い、みんな嫌い、大嫌い。
Nope, still don't care for a character.
使徒に取りつかれ侵されていく0号機。
取りつかれる。人に取りつかれる。
その侵食から真珠を守るため、レイは自らの死を希望する。
自らの死。
第三神道教師と共に
侵食から真珠を。
光と熱となり、彼女は消えた。次回涙。
Quarantine? Oh, Wiki isolation, yeah. Okay, yeah, these are, I'll be honest, yeah, these are difficult. There's no way around it. These are becoming harder and harder to follow. Yeah, so it does not slow down. It does not slow down. Yeah. So anyway, so this is 21 and 22. So I got 23, 24 probably tomorrow if all goes well. That'll leave sort of on the weekend. I'll try to do the movie, like first half of the movie, then second half of the movie for the last part of it. Because again, I'm going to skip episodes 25, 26, just going to use the movie instead. Because that's supposedly how it's supposed to work. Quarantine. Yeah, there's a lot of high level. It's going to be interesting. Now, like I said, all right, so let me just go into, let me just bring up the volume real quick. All right, so obviously, you know, my screw up is in, let's say in these years, like being consistent. So by not being consistent, I haven't really pushed the vocabulary high. Now, there is the benefit of reading a lot, and reading a lot, like I've been doing, has been helping. But, you know, again, your vocabulary will be a limiting factor. And so you want to increase your vocabulary as well, so then you get more out of the reading. You know, let's say my vocabulary is around between 4,000 to 6,000 words, then yeah, I've only got like, I mean, there's like anywhere from 5 to 10% of the stuff that I'm running into I just don't know about. So I have to, like, you know, quickly look over. And most of that's going to be, you know, some of it's going to be in specialty areas that, you know, the average probably junior high kid in Japan would understand, I would assume. And then, so yeah, the concepts may not, you know, I may understand the concept just because, again, you get that just through the English language as well. So the concepts make sense, but again, the words that are those concepts, that are related to those concepts in Japanese are just not there. So I can't make the connection. So, you know, that's where, again, learning vocabulary. So, you know, some people feel like, again, as you learn vocabulary, you get better in the language. But you kind of need both. You then need to see that vocabulary being put into use. And I think I mentioned a few days back where it's, you know, you need to have a lot of immersion of into the language being used, so that you see this stuff pop up naturally in the pattern that it should be. That way, because if you just kind of, you don't want to also be falling into the trap of, you know, learning a lot of fancy words and start using those fancy words. It just sounds very unnatural because they're not used as much. Again, since just by the frequency, you can see they're not used that much. So it's important that, you know, you kind of get a feel of when's the right time to use them, and also just notice it when they are used, that you recognize it. So, you know, I guess the word for quarantine, it probably is not a word you teach to people learning English early on, but it, you know, again, it's probably just considered like a very easy word, a well-known word. For example, yeah, my fault is by not being consistent. That means I haven't been consistently pushing my vocabulary higher. That's right now is holding me back in something like this. So, you know, it. But now, like I said, hey, you know what? Hey, just got to be more consistent. Start adding the words back. And part of me feels like I could probably, if I've got the time. And a lot of it with vocabulary, it's time. You know, if it's about 10, you can get about 10 words an hour. You can probably learn, including the review time. You know, average about 10 words an hour. So if you're doing studying like 2 hours a day, well, okay, that's about 20 words. You know, if you're doing 3 to 4 hours a day, then that's 30 to 40 words. You know, and then that's if you're doing the studying where, like, you're just purposely studying to get new words. And also, you know, you can treat a kanji as a new word as well. But there's not as many kanji you got to worry about compared to vocabulary. You know, like, just get up to 10,000 words, you could probably get away with just 2,000 kanji, roughly. You know, when you're trying to get up to 20,000 words, you probably want to build it up to 2,000 to 3,000 or 3,000 or so kanji. Well, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, there is that limit of kanji. You're going to hit the limit on kanji probably faster than you'll hit the limit on vocabulary. But you want to get the vocabulary up there. You know, 10,000 is like the kind of like a pretty reasonable goal. You know, but it's still going to take a long time to get there, because even if you're just saying like 10 words an hour, do the math. So 10,000 words, that's 1,000 hours. You know, if you just concentrate on just the vocabulary. But again, that's just the time for the vocabulary. Then you need the time for the kanji. So let's say that's 2,000 to 3. Let's say that's 3,000 kanji. So again, that's another. If you're doing 10 kanji an hour, that's another 300 hours. So 1,000 hours for vocabulary, another 300 hours. Then you want to do the reading, and you want to have about 500 hours of reading in there. So now you've added. Now you're up to, you know, you're approaching, you know, 2,000 hours just to get to that level. And And then on top of that is all the thousands of hours you got to have, which is the listening to it, watching it, either watching the shows or listening to the shows through the passive immersion, passive pseudo-active. Thing about passive immersion, where the audio is just playing all the time, is that it turns into active when you pay attention to it, and then it goes back to passive when you're not paying attention to it. So that's why that's a very useful tool, you know, in this whole thing, because there's like thousands of hours you're going to have to do for listening. I mean, and again, just think about the average Japanese person. You know, how many hours a day are they actually listening to their language? I mean, just by the time someone's 8 years old, I think 10,000 hours is probably a minimum. It's probably like at a low point. You know, just imagine. Let's just say 5 hours. Just 5 hours or 6 hours a day, right? And there's 24 hours in the day. So let's just say 6 hours for some reason they're hearing stuff in Japanese. They're not even talking about reading, just hearing stuff in Japanese. Cool, because TV's playing or people are talking or whatever. So 6 times 6 years, so that's 1,800 hours. That's roughly 2,000 hours a year. For, let's say, they started to be able to listening real good around 3 or 4. So let's say, hey, 4 to 6. You know, you need just in 5 years, from 8 years to up to 8 years old. You know, if they started listening real good at around 3 years old, then that's like 10,000 hours of listening that they've got. And they're just at 8 years old. I mean, good God, their listening is going to be amazing compared to someone who hasn't even studied, haven't even come close to listening to 10,000 hours of Japanese. And that's where why they're trying to say is like the massive immersion is important. It is super important. If it's not done, if you don't like it's hard to set aside the time to actually think about it. So you want to make it all as passive as possible so you don't have to think about it. Like for me, you know, again, I have the audio on my phone, but I'm not listening to a phone as much anymore. But again, it's there when I do walk around or I'm on travel, so I'll put the earphone in. But it should be in my house. You know, I've got a play on there, but I tend to not play the video as much. That's a part where it's failing. But you know, if I do press play, it'd be great if it shows up on TV instead. You know, in Genesis, always showing on the TV. That would be kind of cool. That would work. But for that, normally I'd have to then, you know, set up the laptop over there. I've got another laptop over there, and that's where we really play the videos from the computer to the TV. And have that play off. And again, that just is setting up the environment to get the amount of immersion that's needed. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to learn because immersion. Just that all it's doing is taking what I already have learned, and now it's, you know, letting my mind do whatever the mind does to turn this into comprehensible material, like rapidly comprehensible. Intuitive, I guess would be a good word for it. So it's, yeah, and I'm saying this is because you know, again, I'm thinking back, like, you know, I'm kind of a joke in the Japanese learning community, just because of, you know, when I started way back when, and I was not like, and I just made myself prominent in being willing to take part in conversations about stuff and trying to be out there and help. But again, that means that people go under the impression that because I'm willing to go out there and help people, that I'm like really good at the language. So when they find out that I'm not that good at the language, all of a sudden they almost it's there's a negative reaction to that. And I think some of it's fair because they feel like, you know, they don't want to take advice from someone who themselves is not good, which makes sense. And I think I've mentioned before, I try to lay it, it's like what I'm offering is not like what I've made. It's just that it's based on information I got from other people, and some of it's my own experience as a beginner. Hence, that's why, again, I'm offering advice for people at beginning stages. That shouldn't be that, you know, you don't need, you know, you don't have to be the best in order to be at the intermediate to give advice for the lower level. And it can be tailored and groomed to make sure, hey, look, is there anything wrong with the advice that's being given? Okay, yeah or nay. And then that's where you can make corrections. But again, I would be the bad one. I wouldn't be a good one to make the corrections because, you know, I have to take the advice from other people. But I was one who was willing to make sure the material is out there to be shared and available to people with an explanation as the best way to make use of it, which was what was missing for the longest time when I was going through that phase. So I was trying to present what was being missed. So it isn't about creating the next kana app, like here to learn hiragana, katakana. There's like thousands of those apps. You don't need that. Whereas maybe a video teaching kanji. I mean, I'm one of the few people who've made a video series that, actually went through hundreds of kanji, to teach, and it wasn't just a computer app that collected the information that's been gathered. I actually wanted to present this item by item and give my explanation as to how it worked. And it seems like people found this as a useful video series. So that's of course, when I do stuff like that, though, I don't get better in Japanese. Because again, that's me working with beginner material, which isn't pushing me up higher. So all those hours spent, hundreds of hours making, those kanji and kana and vocabulary material was, unfortunately, time that was either kind of basically time that wasn't making me better in Japanese, even though it was useful for the community. But yeah, I do need to get back into adding vocabulary. So yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I am doing that. I'm getting back into Anki, and I am, making sure I'm get to. It's going to be sentence mining. I'm deciding again not to do the Tango deck for N2. I was doing it, but it just wasn't clicking with me. Where I was having more fun learning from the sentence mining from the using Morphman and the stuff that I've been doing the Let's Reads on. So I'm just going to continue with that. And again, like I've mentioned before, it's just going to be, hey, I've already done Zettai Kareshi, so I did 100 sentences from that. I'm going to be doing 100 sentences from Hanayori Dango. After that, I'm going to do the 100 sentences from Zero no Tsukaima, and just keep going from there. It's just text, so there's no audio. I'm not overly complicating things, and and just keep going. Like just get 100 words, and 100 words. And I'll take that back. It's not that I'm getting 100 words from Hanayori Dango. It's whatever's left of Zettai Kareshi, and then Hanayori Dango is put on top of that, and then say, hey, find me the next group of words out of that, and then I'll add in on top of that. I'll delete all the I+0 sentences, and then I'll add on Zero no Tsukaima on top of that, and say, now find me the next 100 sentences. Now most of them is going to come from Zero no Tsukaima, but some of them are going to be from Hanayori Dango and Zettai Kareshi. And then after that, I'll add in the new show. I think whatever the I forgot the order of all the series and books that I went through. But yeah, that's just gonna be the plan. So essentially, slowly start gathering together 100. My mini goals are gonna be 100 sentences. So slowly get 100 sentences, add on some more stuff, get another 100 sentences, add on some more, get another 100 sentences. You're just gonna go in that order. And when I get up to about 2,000 sentences, I'm gonna do a reassessment and maybe then go through the Tango book, Tango N2. And just look for sentences. Now I'm just going to be looking for words where it's going to be, hey, when I hear it, there's going to be some benefits to it now. So, and hopefully it'll be a lot more fun doing it that way, because I'll be a lot more. There will be a lot more material I can skip over. So I'm just grabbing the stuff that slipped through the cracks. And Axiom, do you like to read show sets? Yeah. From this, it's yeah. Reading books are a lot of fun. I just don't make it a habit, unfortunately. I should do it more than I do, and that's the problem. Most of my time is spent on Reddit, so I waste a lot of time not doing Japanese stuff. If I concentrate more on Japanese stuff, I would get better faster. There's just no guarantee. I think that's a given. So, oh well, life goes on. Because again, I have fun doing there is the non-Japanese stuff that I have fun doing. That's just the way I am. You do have the people in the community that feel like, hey, if you're not doing it this full bore, you haven't achieved it in a year, then your method sucks. It's like, well, okay, the method I'm doing can be done in a year and a half. Okay, in about 2 years' time, you should be, if you do it, at a reasonable pace, 2 to 4 hours a day of studying. Yeah, you could probably achieve the 10,000 vocabulary, 3,000 kanji, 500 hours of reading to audiobooks or equivalent thereof, and however much watching of TV shows that you've done. Yeah, you probably would be at a really good level of really good level of Japanese in just the equivalent of 2 years' time. Although the amount of hours would be the same. The hour count is going to be the same whether you did it in 2 years or 6 years or 10 years. That point. It's just that they did more in that year. And the big thing big thing is they did that a lot of people who are studying Japanese don't do is the immersion. They don't read stuff in Japanese. They don't watch stuff in Japanese. That's the one big thing that they're missing. And I also think the other thing they're missing is the background audio, because this is again where AJAT and MI have it right, like getting that background audio. Make sure it's audio that is not just random Japanese stuff, because that turns into white noise. It's got to be audio from stuff that you've studied or stuff that you've actively read and watched. All right, and it doesn't count if it's something you watch with English subtitles. That does not count. It's got to be stuff you watched in Japanese and try to pay attention to in Japanese. Then that would be amazing background audio to have playing all the time. Same thing with audio from the stuff that you've been studying. So if you're studying Genki or these Tango books or Core 2K, 6K, you know, again, that's just a bunch of audio files. Get those audio files, combine them into a set, and just press play and mix that in with the audio of the TV shows, and you've got yourself some really good background audio, because you pay attention to it and you comprehend it, which is, you're just training your brain to say, hey, I know what that is, and instead of it, I don't want to concentrate on what it is, so it just does whatever the magic is, so it comprehends it immediately. Like it just has this feeling like, hey, this is what it means. All right, cool. Thank you all very much. This is Nick Breen. This is episodes 21 and 22. Be back another day with episodes 23 and 24, and then the movies. And then after that, I'll be going back to Harry Potter, finishing up book 2. And then whatever other anime I've got set aside for learning later. Cool. Thank you all very much, and yep, see you. Oh, and thanks for watching.